Good morning and welcome to the kitchen. Today we're having some fun and mishaps making homemade egg noodles. Hi, it's Rochelle. Welcome to Legacy Home and Garden and welcome to my kitchen. The first thing I want to do is address the elephant in the room. Come on, look. Yeah. Okay, I have a new puppy and he's got to go out a lot. And the weather's been so great, so I've left the door open a lot. And even though I hate these things, and even though I think they're tacky as all get out, it has really done its job in keeping the flies out of my way. So, number one. But today we're in the kitchen. Why? Have you ever thought about making homemade egg noodles and just never took the plunge? One, maybe you used to make them all the time and you just haven't done it in a while. Or two, maybe growing up, that wasn't part of the culture that you lived in, just meaning part of the community or who your family's associated with. Maybe it was just something that wasn't done and you were never taught, and you know it's something that you want to do. Then this is the video for you. Now, I will tell you, I've advanced a lot in my egg noodle making days. When I was much younger, 40 years ago, I did it all by hand. I did it out here. I rolled it out with a rolling pin, which now I don't even know where I put it. And then I cut them with a pizza cutter, my noodles. So the deal is, oh, here's my rolling pin over here in a drawer that I don't get into too often. I would make my dough and roll it out to the thickness I wanted, and then I would cut it with a pizza cutter. Okay, well, because I've gotten some arthritis, it's made it more and more difficult for me to do those things. So what I want to tell you is, you don't have to have a ton of fancy equipment or anything like that to make homemade egg noodles. You just need a counter, you need flour, salt, water, oil, and eggs. Okay, so to make a batch. And then a rolling pin, or guess what, even before I had a rolling pin, I would use a glass. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but I just kind of did whatever I had to do. I would get my dough all mixed, and then I would carefully roll it out with a glass on the cutting board. And before I had a pizza cutter, I used a butter knife. So when I had it rolled out to the thickness and the diameter that I wanted, I would just take it and just cut it in strips. Then I didn't have anything to hang them on, so I would open my cabinets and just hang them over the door to dry. So that's the way I used to do it, and it can be done. So I guess it's just, you don't have to have all kinds of fancy stuff to make noodles or most anything. But today I do have those items that make it easier for me, and I will be using those. So if you were never taught to make homemade egg noodles, or you've never done homemade egg noodles and you're nervous, or it's something that you used to do and you just haven't done in a long time, now it's time to revisit it. Why am I making egg noodles now? Well, Tuesdays are my day off, and I like to pour myself into some things on that day when I'm home, that I can look at the end of the day and feel accomplished. Making noodles is one of them. Just a moment. Cash, that's no. Good boy. My puppy. And today I decided it would be a good day to make 2 or 3 batches of egg noodles to put in the freezer. And I want them in the freezer for this coming winter and fall, when I'm making a lot of soups and things like that, that I want those noodles for. And so it'll make it so much easier just to go in there and grab them, having them already done, than stopping by the store on my way home to grab some. So that's what I'm doing today, and I'm bringing you along to do that. Now what I have is, I've measured out in this bowl 2.5 cups of flour. Okay, the other item you're going to need is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And you're going to need about 1 tablespoon of oil. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of cold water, and you're going to need 3 eggs. Now, my chickens aren't laying eggs like they used to. So not like they used to, but like they were in the summer, in the warmer months when the sun stayed out longer. So what I did is when they were really producing their eggs, I collected their eggs and I started to water glass them. Now these I did in May of this year. So I went in here earlier and took out the 3 eggs, washed them, and I have them here to use. But that's why I preserve my eggs, and I have a short video about water glassing eggs, which I'll link, that you can check out if you've not water glassed eggs before. Very simple process to do. It doesn't hardly take but a moment. If you can collect your eggs, the dogs are around the camera. Collect your eggs and then just take a moment to water glass or preserve some of them for the months when your chickens aren't laying much. So I've taken 3 eggs out of here and I have those set. And then what I also have is this little bowl, and this is gonna serve as I crack open these water glassed eggs. I'm gonna crack each one in here before I add it in to my mixture, just to make sure everything's a-okay before I pour that in. There's nothing in there shouldn't be, but I just like to crack it in a separate dish before I actually put it in my recipe. Now, after we mix together our noodles, we'll be taking a portion of the dough and we'll be using the KitchenAid. And the KitchenAid that I have an attachment so that I don't have to roll the dough out anymore with my arthritis. I will attach this roller to my KitchenAid right here, and this will roll that dough for me. Once my dough is rolled and I'm ready to cut it, I will then put this attachment on, which will actually cut the noodles for me. Okay, but like I said, you don't need this to make noodles. You can get yourself a glass out of the cabinet for your rolling pin and a pizza cutter or butter knife and cut them that way. But I did want to show you your options and tell you I didn't always have these things to work with. Another thing that I did, and I'll link this for you if you're interested, is I used to hang them over my cabinets like I told you, but I now have these contraptions here that I purchased on Amazon, and you just pull it out. It hangs down like this when you put it away, but to put it up, you just lift it and push it in and pull the legs out. So once you have cut your noodles the way you want them, you can hang them on here to dry. Now, drying noodles, there's another thing that I'd heard about drying egg noodles, and I've never done this. That wasn't part of the culture when I grew up, so it wasn't part of what my mother did, but I have heard that people will take parchment paper and put it down, put their dough down on it once they've got it rolled out, put another parchment paper on top of it, and then use their clothes iron. An iron that it might be Greek to a lot of people, an iron, but you used to have to iron your clothes. Okay, and they would take their clothes iron and then gently iron over that pasta to aid in the drying process. Now, that wasn't something my mother ever did, so I never learned to do that. I just learned it by cutting it and letting them dry. Now, the other thing I want to say is once you're done with these, you can use these. You don't have to freeze them. I mean, you can use them fresh. I'm not going to be using these fresh. I'm going to be freezing them, like I said. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is I make my noodles pretty small. They start out a good draping noodle, but in the end, they end up small. Why? Because when I cook those, they actually do kind of puff up and they get a little fatter. And if you've had homemade noodles before, you know they're first amazing. And second, it's different than an egg noodle you buy in the store. The egg noodle you buy in the store is a real thin, flimsy noodle once you prepared it. A homemade noodle is thicker and more dense, and so I like them a little smaller. So when I'm eating my soup, I have my noodle with my spoon. I don't have this big long noodle that's puffed up in my soup. So that's the reason why Mine start out a good size, but they end up small noodles. So anyway, I think I've went down what the ingredients are that we're gonna need, the KitchenAid and all of that. So now what I'm gonna do is show you how to make this homemade egg noodle dough. So don't go away. Hey, okay, what I've done is I went ahead and dumped out my flour and my salt on the counter here, and I just want to mix that in real good together. And this is a good day just to get messy. Okay, so then you're going to make a little well in the middle. And a well, what's a well? It's just like a dip, just a dip in your flour. Okay, and then you're going to add your eggs one at a time. And I just do that just to make sure there's nothing in my egg. And just mix with your hands. Okay. My second egg, and he's looking good. Oh, I didn't have my well very good, did I? That was a pretty watery egg there. Or a pretty large egg. And this is why you want a well. So remember that. I didn't have my well very well. The side of my one well and my egg kind of ran through there. So you want to have a good well for your egg to sit in there, okay? Let's see if that well is better. And my third egg. And that egg is good. There we go. Sits right in there. So when you do it right, not a problem, right? We are just going to take our fingers and start mixing this up. So we got our flour, our salt, and our 3 eggs here. You like that? But we also have some water, so we're just going to kind of be mixing that in there a little bit. And you know what? I told you needed oil, and I was wrong. You don't need oil for these egg noodles. I don't know what I was thinking. Probably the oil that you would want to put in your water when you boil them to keep them from sticking together. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Because normally I make them fresh and then I cook them right away. But like I said, I'm making these for storage. So these are coming together real good. Now you can see it's a little bit dry. Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay, we can add just a teensy bit more water to our dough. Okay, it's actually looking really good. You can see it's dry in places, it's sticky in other places. Let's just keep working this together. And I'm flopping some dough off here and flopping some dough off there. I don't mind that. Okay. I'm going to get a teensy bit more water. Just a teensy bit. There we go. Let's see how that does. And if that's not quite enough, we'll get a little bit more. There's no wrong or right, guys. If it's too dry, it's just too dadgum dry. And I started out with just a tablespoon, but I think I added maybe a teaspoon there more. And also remember, if you're going to be rolling this dough out, see that adding that little bit of water really made a difference. Now I'm going to do something that, hey, I'm going to ask my husband to come in and grab me something. Honey, could you come here for a moment? Because I need something out of the drawer over there and I don't want to stick these egg noodly hands in it. So here he comes. Let's see if he'll help me out. In that drawer right there, there's a scraper.
This drawer?
Right, and no, the other one. Yep, and it's covered in a white.
Yep, got it.
Can you get that for me?
This one?
Yep, thank you. I just didn't want to reach in there with my messy hands.
Thank you.
And I'm just scraping that egg and moisture mixture up off my cutting board because I don't want to lose any of this. And then I'm just going to continue mixing all this together. Look at that. So our dough is really, really, really coming along here. Now I did consider mixing this in my KitchenAid. I really did. But then I said, well, how am I really showing you how to make these noodles if I'm going to do it in a KitchenAid? Not everybody's got a KitchenAid. Okay, so I decided, even though my hands were hurting a little bit, I'd just go ahead and show you how to do it. And show you, encourage you to make noodles, because it's not hard and they're so good. But I'm just going to show you this one batch. I won't need to show you all the batches I'm going to make today. Okay, we've got this going pretty good now, and it's sticking together pretty good. And I will actually end up cleaning this surface board off before I roll on it, because what I'm going to want to do then is, I'm not going to roll a lot, but I'll just take a little piece and kind of pinch it out and put it through my roller over here. But before I do that, I'm going to need to wash my hands. Okay, now what I've got here is my basic egg noodle dough. And now what I want to do is, if I was doing this by hand, I would take, say, a butter knife or something, and I would cut a piece off and roll it out and make my noodles, right? But I'm not going to be doing it by hand. I'm going to cut it and put it through my KitchenAid to roll it out for me. But if you are doing these by hand, you don't have a KitchenAid, just cut yourself a piece, roll it, and then cut your noodles and hang them to dry. That's how simple making noodles is. Guys, so there's your basic dough recipe. And I'll film here a little bit and show you how this is going, but I won't be talking to you. I'll just kind of film it, and maybe I can overlay some music or something for you. But look at that. Now, that's pretty thick dough. So we're going to cut this down and cut this out pretty good and really give it a good run through the dough roller. But if you didn't have that, you just grab yourself a glass or a rolling pin and commence rolling that out. So let's see how these do here in just a moment. Okay, so I'll give you an up close and personal look at the dough. And I got to thinking, you know, it wouldn't kill me to show you how to roll these out. So okay, I've just taken a piece like that, and then where to put my rolling pin? Where to put my rolling pin? Oh, there it is. Okay, and then just roll. Okay, just roll. See how we're doing that? Now, if your surface gets sticky, just throw your little flour down. Okay. And you're just going to roll this out to the thickness that you want your pasta noodles. Okay, maybe you want them like that. Then you can take for yourself a butter knife, okay, and just cut your noodle. Now, that's a big old noodle. You could take that and just hang it on there and just let it dry. Okay, you certainly could. All right, or if you want your noodles thinner, there's nothing wrong with that, because remember, these are going to puff up when you cook them. Okay, so you could definitely make them thinner, and you would want to put some flour down. Okay, now some people like them all uniform. You know, me, it doesn't matter. But you can pretty them up, you know, by just trimming them. Your noodle. and hang it to dry. Okay, now what I'm going to end up doing is drying them, okay, and then I'm going to end up cutting them in half like this after they're dry, or breaking them, either way, okay, because that's going to puff up and get pretty large in my soup. But there you go, that's how you make homemade egg noodles. Now, and to do it by hand. Now I'm going to try my attachment here and see if I can get it to roll this dough for me. So the first thing I'm going to do, and it's been a minute since I've used this, is this has got a little knob here. Take that out. Nope. Goes this way. Yep. Okay, so why not start with this one piece of dough I have right here. Holy smokes, I didn't have my dough roller in properly. Oh, I am such a nerd. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, well, this isn't Rochelle's expert kitchen. I could twist this to make it thinner, but maybe not. Now that I have some of this dough cut or rolled out to the thickness I want, I'm going to cut some of these noodles and get them out of my way. And there you have it. There you have your noodles. Okay? And then I'm just going to hang them over here to dry. And then those will be broken down into much smaller pieces. Okay? So that actually is quite a few noodles right there. But I'll show you. And I'm keeping my scraps over here. Like here, I'll make these smaller ones. Okay, and I'm just going to let them dry, and then I'll break them down to smaller pieces. So I hope that this has helped you and inspired you to just get in the kitchen for a few minutes, make some egg noodles, get them in your freezer, or use them fresh for dinner that night, and see that it doesn't take that much ingredients to do. It's actually fun. And when you eat these in your food, it's amazing because you're looking at it with such a sense of self-gratification that you made that by yourself in your own kitchen, and you did a great job, and your family is enjoying your homemade egg noodles. So thanks for stopping by the kitchen today in this little the little tutorial of homemade egg noodles. Even with all its little mishaps, it's still fun. And it's a learning experience still. So I hope you get your hands dirty and get in the kitchen and make some homemade egg noodles. You won't be sorry. Okay, so I am making the last of the noodles now. So I just thought I'd let you watch. I have went ahead and put my roller back on so it can roll this dough for me. And I did discover the knob here, it is, but you have to pull it out and turn it a little. So that's what I was doing wrong. Now, I'm going to cut that off. I'm just using up all my little scraps here. That's the last of the dough, that one batch. Now we're going to cut the noodles, and I have to put this in square and turn it, lock it into place, right? Turn it on. Two pieces of dough sticking together here. Putting those on my rack. Show you quick that one batch of dough that we made all these noodles. That's just one batch. So get busy, make your noodles. I really hope that you enjoyed this today, even though it was kind of full of mishaps and mistakes, it still was fun, and the end result was just amazing. So I want to say, if you've got some time, get out there, make some homemade noodles. Rochelle with Legacy Home and Garden, thanks for stopping by the kitchen today.